Yesterday, the Department of Justice filed an appeal over the decision to appoint a special master to review documents that the FBI seized during its raid of Mar-a-Lago. And the appeal comes just ahead of the deadline for the Department of Justice and Trump's attorneys to jointly submit a list of potential candidates to serve in a special master position. So how does this appeal affect the process and the investigation? Joining us now to discuss is Newsmax analyst, Professor Emeritus of Harvard Law School, and the author of The Price of Principle, Alan Dershowitz. Professor, welcome to the show. All right, before we get to the appeal, let's discuss the logistics of today, because the Department of Justice and Trump, like I said, have until midnight to submit their briefings for a special master. Since the Department of Justice has already said they're going to appeal, will they submit a name, and will those names be public?
They should be public, and they should be submitted unless the government successfully sought a stay on that aspect of it. I don't see why a stay would ever be granted. You might as well appoint the special master and have him begin his work. That would not delay things. And I would think the perfect special master would be somebody who was a former judge appointed by a Democratic president. So nobody could claim partisanship. Nobody could complain that it wasn't independent, and it would be part of the judiciary. And so the Justice Department wouldn't be evaluating itself. The one thing that is intolerable in a democracy with checks and balances and separation of powers is for the Justice Department to say, trust us, we can investigate ourselves, we can look at privileged material and be counted on not to disclose with a wink and a nod any privileged material to anybody who's trying the case. That's just unacceptable in a democracy. The judge was right to appoint the special master, and I hope the appellate courts will see it that way. Look, all the media has attacked it. Most academics have attacked it. I stand pretty much alone in defending it, but I've stood alone for many years, and it proved to be right. So I'm not budging on my position because a bunch of academics have said that it's wrong. If the shoe were on the other foot, if this were former President Hillary Clinton, virtually every one of those academics would be on my side, but not if it's Donald Trump.
That's right. Well, look, getting to the appeal of the special master, the Department of Justice wrote this. It says that Trump does not have any right to those government records returned to him, or that he can advance any plausible claims of attorney-client privilege as to such records that would bar the government from reviewing or using them. Two things here. They're basically saying, and if I get this right, that this classified information is the government's, and that if some of these documents do have any attorney-client privilege, they still belong to him. Do you agree with their assessment of that?
Absolutely not. I can easily imagine a note or an email between the client, Donald Trump, and his private lawyer or another lawyer asking for advice about the documents. Now, the documents itself, the classified document itself, might not be privileged, but surely a request for advice or the granting of advice by a lawyer to a client would be privileged. And the other issue, of course, is executive privilege. And the Biden administration has taken, I think, the very dangerous position that the executive privilege of a former president can be waived by the current president, even if the former president is going to be running against him. Why would any president ever confide in anybody, chief of staff, cabinet members, if he knows that the next president, a political rival, could make a partisan electoral decision to release that executive privilege material? It's the end of executive privilege.
All right, only have about 30 seconds left, but do you think this should change Trump's strategy at all now that they have appealed?
I don't think so. I think the strategy has to be the same. I think what he has to be sure of is that no evidence is destroyed. His greatest vulnerability would be if there were a Nixon-type obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence. I've seen no evidence of that. That kind of process crime, though, would make him very vulnerable. I do not think he will be indicted on mishandling of classified material because of the precedents involving Hillary Clinton and others.
Professor, always appreciate your take on this, and I'm sure we've got a ways to go. We're going to have you weigh in several more times. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. September is historically the worst performing month for the stock market, so you better be ready for it. The Fed continues to aggressively raise rates, and JP Morgan is forecasting another mega rate hike September the 21st. Is that why Jamie Dimon said an economic hurricane is coming our way? Well, gold and silver have remained remarkably stable despite the Fed aggressively raising rates today. The Patriot Gold Group has a special incentive for Newsmax viewers. Huge! Now precious metals investors can enjoy the no-fee-for-life gold and silver IRA on qualifying rollovers, or enjoy free, discreet, insured shipping on all direct gold and silver purchases. Here's the number, 800-356-4470. Call 800-356-4470 today.